Hello, acolytes, neophytes, and in today's cover art episode, paint by number parasites. 5 stories beneath the Rocky Mountains, protected by 10-foot concrete walls, lies a government vault of ancient paintings of supernatural power, and curators working to preserve them. One such painting from Sumeria appears to be cover art from an ancient grimoire of spells. As the curators remove centuries of smoke, soot, and oil, they reveal a crude depiction of a warrior with shitty proportions fighting a dragon that looks like ass. It can only mean one thing. This ancient cover art was in fact cover Shart, and that this ancient book of spells was nothing more than a shitty demo tape. Today, the Druids welcome you to an exploration of the mystique of cover art and its fecal-covered cousin. So, put some prune juice on ice, pull up some double-ply butt wipe, and for fuck's sake, wipe front to back, because today the Druids compare cover art to cover Shart. Storm Ruler, push!
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Boy.
What an intro, baby. Damn.
Life truths to live by. Wipe front to back, for God's sake. I can't lay claim to that truth, but I'll tell you one thing. If your lady's not wiping front to back, you're in for trouble.
Oh boy. Holy crap.
Well, Franny, what up, my druid from another fluid? How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing real good. Had a lot of fun last night. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Not looking forward to having to work today, but such is life.
Yeah, we're all in the daily grind, and I think I want to just open, since you're off to work today, maybe I can make your day a little bit better with just a life lesson that considering that we're here to talk about cover art or cover Shart, may be useful as you head back to work today, and that is, never trust a fart, Franny. One thing I have learned as I have gotten older is you cannot ever trust a fart. Just as trees can have their age measured with the concentric circles in their circumference, I feel like as I'm on the cusp of 40 years old, I can measure my age in the number of accidental farts that I have throughout a day. The older you get, the looser your butthole gets.
It's true, man. It's true.
Regardless of bedroom proclivities. This is just the third phase of puberty that they don't tell you about in 7th grade fucking health classes. Your butthole needs rejuvenation at a certain age, and I'm at that spot now. It's not helpful if you like to eat Burger King. This is especially bad news.
Yeah, you gotta watch out if you like to hit the greasy sliders, which we all do from time to time, but yeah. I can't agree with that advice any more than humanly possible. Yeah, never trust a fart. Ever. Never, ever.
Well, I guess I'm coming off of another... What do we have going on in our lives right now? Well, we met up to play a little board game action yesterday. We're both kind of dragging ass today. I'm also about a week removed from yet another predictable, yet still somewhat heartbreaking Vikings loss, which will tie into a little conversation later about... the most metal sports teams or most metal fan bases and how sports can be just deeply entrenched in heavy metal. I'm gearing up for vacation, looking forward to going down to Florida, Franny, and just really looking forward to just gorging myself on crustaceans and shellfish and every fruity drink that will never touch, but that I love.
Oh, man. So you go for the fruity cocktails, huh?
We're like opposite. She orders like a Russian Imperial double black stout. It's heavy as a black hole. And I'm like, I'll have a Mai Tai mixed with a pina colada. I want the fruit.
I don't blame you, man. Some of those drinks are tasty as hell, and they're dangerous as hell, too. They'll sneak up on you. Gotta be careful for them fruity drinks.
Well, we got a hell of a show today. We're here to talk about cover art. We're here to break down what exactly is a cover Shart versus cover art. We got a lot of great shows that we're going to break down, including what is now posthumously called the Last Rites show for Coffin Rites, as they are no more. We've got coverage of Undeath and 200 stab wounds, And of course, gonna close out. Franny's got some reviews that I've been waiting to hear from. So yeah, I guess with all that being said, I've been surprised hearing from druids coming out of the woodwork this week around Marie Calendar pot pies. It seems like last week that's the soundbite that got everybody going. So I just think that between the episodes we've done, whether it's Crystal Clear Pepsi, whether it's Totino's Pizza Rolls, and now Marie Calendar pot pies, people have got to be worried about what our diets look like.
Oh, yeah, dude, I bet, man. I bet. They're just like, oh, my God, these guys eat nothing but frozen processed foods. Like, what is going on? I'm sure half the people think we're like 300-pound sweaty dudes or something like that, but
at the very least, they probably want us to get to like a fucking food shelf where we get at least a step up in food quality.
A bag of rice and maybe some vegetables.
It'd be a market improvement.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's go into a show that we both attended a couple weeks ago. Again, Coffin Rights, local death metal band here in the Twin Cities. We just want to show them a little bit of love. It was their last show, Last Rites, and they were there with Grand Demise of Civilization and Worm Mantle. So this was a small, intimate show out of the 7th Street entry, which is adjoined next door to the famed First Avenue Club in Minneapolis that,
absolutely,
artists like Prince have made famous. Anyone has passed through the doors of First Ave. So it was cool to see this show at the 7th Street entry. That was your first time there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was my first time at the 7th Street entry, and when you say intimate, it was indeed very intimate, because that is a very small venue. Like, even when you are quote-unquote far from the stage, you're still extremely close to the stage, basically. You could probably almost reach out and high-five them for the most part, but I thought it was a good show. I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, but there was kind of one band that I thought was a little bit of a stinker.
Well, it's a local show, so I'm going to reserve some of my venom for national touring acts. I'm not trying to bury anyone yet. Again, we're not talking about Fellowship quite yet again, but I would say, Coffin Rights, fun band, tight, they're melodic, they do a lot of things. I want to shout out to Drew Blood, their vocalist. He's got another project called Witched-In. You should all check it out.
Hell
and
yeah.
Will also got a lot of different projects going on, but it was fun because we got to run into the Cro-Mag Tribal Elder. He's at every show we go to, it seems. And
pretty much,
I can't believe there's something like 8 billion people on planet Earth and counting. And Cro-Mag Tribal Elder bumped into a friend he had from Beijing that he knew in Beijing, and they didn't know they were each going to be at this show. Like, what are the fucking chances that these two friends from Minneapolis and Beijing would find each other at this small-time death metal show? So that was pretty cool.
That was wild when I heard that, man.
That was wild. One of those serendipitous moments that if you're plugged in the synchronicity of life, you don't just call a coincidence. No, that's the universe giving you a gift. So, that being said, shout out to the burgeoning TKO, a young thrash band trying to get their feet off the ground. We met Dan the Defiler and Bo the Barbarian throwing down beats and bass with Castle. And at some point, we're looking forward to some Druids of Doom love that we can show. So if you're listening to this, you like thrash metal, you like some funky thrash metal, keep your eye out for TKO, and we'll keep you apprised of updates on that front.
Absolutely.
Without further ado, I'll just close on that show, Franny. If you got any other venom, I'm leaving the floor for you. I don't want to bury anybody. I didn't love Worm Mantle. Jesus Christ, with the weird little the wrist slaps on the guitar that just it was so bizarre. They lasted for like 20 minutes. And here I am. I'm gonna start to go into a little promo on Worm Mantle. Worm Mantle, I think you should stay underground where you belong, eating fucking other organic life to shit out sludge for plants to grow in. Stay underground, Worm Mantle. That's where you belong. But Grand Demise of Civilization.
Yo, if you didn't say anything about these guys, fuck. I don't know what you're about to say, but I fucking love these guys. I thought these guys fucking crushed, dude. Borderline stole the show for me. I just had a lot of fun with them. And the dude with the lead vocalist with his like 37 string guitar, do you remember that? Like it was like I don't even know how many strings were on this thing, but it was a lot.
That was, if I were to see that guitarist driving in a Silverado, then I feel like I would have a safe assumption to say this man is compensating. That coupled with the thickness of his guitar neck was something to behold. But for all I know, he drives a Geo Metro, and he just plays a guitar that thick because that's what he's used to holding. But that thing, it was ridiculous. It looks like he was holding a Scrabble board with strings attached to it. Fucking
Oh my god, dude.
Grand Demise of Civilization, they've got some serious riffs, and I had never heard them before. So when they were coming out, seeing the ratio of middle-aged dudes with shaved heads, I thought for sure this is going to be a hardcore band, like hardcore punk, and that we were all about to get like the shit beat out of us. So when they came out, straight up black metal, just riffing from hell. The guy, lead singer guy, fuck, I should have probably known his name, but he's in full regalia the whole show. He's staying in character between songs, talking like he's Popeye, just completely committed to the bit. So they won me over. I don't know if I'll reach for them a lot, but if I get a chance to see the old Grand Demise, I certainly will do it again.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I had a lot of fun with them. And then, of course, like as you alluded to earlier, Coffin Rights, just a lot of fun watching these guys. I was happy to see their last rights, as you said. So I'm looking forward to what Drew puts out and the other members of the band, what they got going on. I know they're all kind of involved in other side projects. So,
well, on to the national touring show that I saw. I want to say about 3 weeks ago, but I've been waiting to talk to you all about this. Of course, they may not have been the headliner, but for all intents and purposes, for me, this was the Undeath tour, and headlined by the very apropos, the likable 200 stab wounds. Fuck, said no corpse ever. But they were also supported by Enforced and Phobophilic. So I'm going to keep this brief because we've got a lot of meat on the bone today, as is usual here with the DOD. But opener, Phobophilic, goddamn. So phobophilia translates to love of fears. And their sound, what do these boys sound like? Well, they're cavernous as hell. It's cavernous death metal. It's like sitting next to a warm fire. Their sound just engulfs you. Just deep, gurgly death metal vocals. Highly memorable riffs. Dissonant solos. So the kind of shit that, as you all know, here we are, fucking episode 8 or 9, whatever the fuck. This is the kind of Wrecker approved death metal that I will always try to jam down your throat, whether it's Zompantly, whether it's Mortuous, whether it's Undeath or fucking Autopsy. This is the stuff I reach for. And so I love when this happens, Franny. The opener blew me away. And once again, Phobophilic did just that. So Phobophilic set a really good stage, which led into, goddamn, if municipal waste has had some bastard children out of wedlock and has been denying their paternal links to those kids for the last 20 years, I'm pretty sure those kids all started the band Enforced. Because Enforced is, and I say this in the most loving, flattering way I can, but they are municipal waste crossover worship, toxic holocaust worship, DRI worship, suicidal tendencies worship.
Hell yeah.
So you can imagine in a live setting, these boys got the circle pit fucking going. I mean,
Hell yeah.
The entire time, just riff oriented, mosh oriented, heavy metal, high octane shit. And with Undeath being there, you talk about legions from a different kind. I saw this kid during the Enforced set take a stage dive straight to the dome. That's the Enforced boys. Like with a band like Enforced, it doesn't take a lot of like cajoling to get the crowd to do some stage diving, and this was no different.
Sure.
They're first one up here gets a T-shirt. First one, whoever takes the best stage dive gets to clear the merch table. And Jesus Christ, you say that to a show full of fully boozed up, highly testosterone filled kids. And something's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Oh my god, I recall you showing me the video that you're about to talk about, and I couldn't believe it.
If you're goddamn, now you can tell we're getting a little more finesse in our show as I find ways to weave in our socials in the conversation. But if you haven't been over to our Instagram, you need to check out this fucking reel I put up of this kid doing stage dives and deciding to use his head as if it were his feet. So this kid he was taking bumps like Mankind versus Undertaker, off of the top of a steel cage. And needless to say, and one of these stage dives this kid took shut down the show. Like literally Undeath had to stop their set in the middle of it because dude took such a dinger. And when he walked past me being held up by two people from the bar, he was a different, shade of gray as he walked by. He had no color in his face. I felt for the kid. I felt bad for him. And you go back to concert survival 1-on-1 as a druid. You got to think about where you're standing. And if fucking kids are trying to, like a flipper dolphin fly off that front row, you move your ass over and let the concrete catch them.
Oh, man. Dude.
Jesus Christ. And, I feel bad because everyone who was taking dives were generally younger dudes, and they were just caught up in the gusto of the moment. And I love that. It's like, that's what you want to see. But boys, I mean, you got to have a little bit of wherewithal when you do this. Like, you want to get up to take more bumps. You're not trying to walk away quadriplegic just from a show.
Yeah, yeah.
Public service announcement.
You gotta have a little bit of spatial awareness when you're doing stage dives.
I wouldn't want to be in a car with any of these kids trying to parallel park because they had no spatial awareness to speak of. Well, Frannie, to close out this show, we've got the heavy hitters Undeath from Rochester, New York. We love these boys. And
hell yeah.
And, my fiance was with me, and she is not a heavy metal head, but she knows when she's seeing a performance that's got moxie, that's got gusto, it's got something, and that's what Undeath brings. This. So Alexander Jones is their front man, and this dude, he is, whether he's pulling the double bicep front pose or just, man, he brings so much energy, calling you in to get closer to the stage. Like, you listen to him. He just, much like the front man, Mr. Jeremy Kling from Inhuman Condition. He brings that sort of energy. Alexander Jones from Undeath brings that sort of party animal energy. They may be a death metal band, Undeath, but they're fun. And that's what sets them apart from their contemporaries. They're fun.
Absolutely, yeah. The lead singer gets you fucking jacked, dude. He gets you just fucking ready to rip and crush it and have a good time. Like, I
mean, I feel like I could see him at a Jimmy Buffett show, and he would be the exact same dude. Like, he's probably a parrot head, or he'd probably go, once upon a time, I could see this kid like he's 10 years old going to like a Grateful Dead show with his dad and having a great time.
Absolutely.
So, Undeath is just a force. I can't wait to see them again. If you get a chance, they're headed to the UK. So if we've got any of our British listeners over there catching wind of this show, like, check them out. They're on like a 16 or 17 date run that's just starting right now. That's a show that you want to catch. So Undeath, to close, 200 stab wounds, an exciting young death metal band, pummeling groove. I had a great time with them, and I wish they had better merch. I wanted to buy something from them, but I will give them props for having the merch most likely to be worn during a petty theft. Because they brought they had these ski masks with their name emblazoned across, and I saw that, and I'm thinking, you know what? In another life, I'd buy one of those, and I'd be getting a shit ton of catalytic converters outside of the parking lot. So I guess I should probably have more to say besides, like, they've got really, like, pro-theft merch, and the show was good. But I would be remiss not to tell you, if you're looking to catch like a 5 to 8 year run in your local penitentiary, consider going to their web store, buying one of their ski masks. Can't say it's going to make you better at your job.
But you look damn good doing it, though.
You'll look damn good. You might be able to case a place with a little more inconspicuousness. So
yes, absolutely.
Well, that's the shows I've got for you there, Frannie. And I always harp on this, but as druids, we are a priestly class. We are the keepers of knowledge within the heavy metal guild. And part of that is both the praising, curating, and commemorating heavy metal culture. And speaking on culture, when it comes to heavy metal, I would say alongside battle vests, which we just broke down at Best of the Vest. If you haven't heard it, fucking go back. Alongside battle vests, maybe Chuck Taylors, maybe even some bullet belts, cover art belongs next to those as a quintessential, maybe even Mount Rushmore component of heavy metal culture. It's one of the things that I think has helped to keep metal alive. throughout the
Absolutely.
decades. You know, I mean, like heavy metal, we've got our own zeitgeist, we've got our own traditions that we hang on to with a vulture's grip.
Absolutely, yeah, and like you alluded to, like those things, they're synonymous with like heavy metal. The covers, like you can see, if you look at like a different genre of music and put it up next to a heavy metal, like you know which one obviously is a heavy metal cover art. You know what I mean? Just by looking at it, for the most part. Maybe not all albums, but for the most part, you probably be able to pick it. Yep, that's the heavy metal one over there.
Oh, I 100% agree. When I look back to like my burgeoning interest in this genre, there's a local record shop called Cheapo, and it's just stacks and stacks of CDs and vinyl. And for me, at a time when, yes, there was internet, but I didn't necessarily have a smartphone, I had to really rely, much like kids in the 80s and 90s, on the cover art to know whether an album might be heavy metal. So I'd be flicking there through the stacks, and I developed a sort of collective unconscious around the sorts of imagery that I would see and associate. Oh, this is fucking heavy metal. I mean, goddamn. There's not too many other genres that like use shirtless men with swords in their hands or dripping, decaying corpse going down a river bloated to the gills.
No.
I think I'll just begin by saying cover art, Franny, is very much that. It's fucking art, whether it's made with airbrush, oil, acrylic, or now digitally, and sometimes digitally by robots. Let's put a pin in that because I know Franny's got some things to say.
Yes.
But cover art is that. It's fucking art. And metal, to your point, Franny, it's always had an aesthetic that tells a story before you ever even listen to that album.
Absolutely.
And so I think when I think about heavy metal cover art, there's an escapism there. There's an escapism just with the art that, much like the music, offers its listener. And I don't know, Franny, if you think back, this is not that much different than a movie poster tradition or a pulp novel tradition or a comic book tradition where you're a board game nerd. Like, you will rely on cover art before you ever reach for your phone to give you an instant sort of idea of what's going on under that box.
100%. I can't tell you how many times, I looked at a board game cover and just basically stopped me in my tracks to like, whoa, shit, what's this? I gotta check this out. The same applies to metal records. I can't tell you how many times I've been thumbing through at a record shop or whatever, and I come across this album, this album artwork, and I'm just like, whoa, okay, I gotta check this out. I have to check this out. It'll stop you like dead in your tracks. It's almost like seeing like a beautiful piece of artwork at like a art museum or something like that. I could know completely nothing about the band, but I know I want to check it out just off the cover art alone.
And I'll take it a step further. I hear what you're saying, that it's almost like looking at a beautiful piece of art at a museum. I say it's exactly like looking at a beautiful piece of art at a museum, because like you're instantly trying to wrap your brain around what you're seeing. You're interpreting what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. You're being flooded with emotions. And in the case of heavy metal, you're being given a promise of what's to come. If you're just so much able as to pull that record and fucking walk up to the clerk and slap down your hard-earned dollars and say, I want this record because I like the cover art. So I would say that this is something that's not necessarily unique to heavy metal, the idea of cover art tipping its cap and letting you know what it's about. But the way in which heavy metal has done it is. So before we launch further into that, I just want to call back out to just rock and roll in general. There have been covers that prior to heavy metal have sort of done a similar thing where you see it and you're instantly frozen in your tracks and you want to know more. For I think of a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon.
Absolutely.
I think of what is it? I can't believe the Beatles. Oh my God, the biggest band in history. I think of like the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Like I think of an album cover like that. Like I don't know what the fuck this is about, but I know I want to find out more. And I think of Molly Hatchet's got this album Flirtin' with Disaster. And the album's not that good. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't think Molly Hatchet's all that great of it. I like Southern rock. Don't get me started, but I'm a Lynyrd Skynyrd man for the most part. I'm a Dwayne Allman man, but Flirtin' with Disaster, it's cover art by Frank Frazetta, has this really fantasy-born Celtic warrior, a big bushy beard, and you're seeing this huge, vascular built dude coming in at you with this color palette that's just wild, and you're just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at, but I'm on board for more.
Yes, please. Yes, please. May I have
please.
another?
Send me this Celtic warrior. I want to find out more about him. So, and that all lent itself really well to this burgeoning heavy metal genre, which really, its cover art aesthetics took off in the 80s. And Franny, my favorite people in life, and this is something you've got in spades, all of my closest friends are people that can laugh at themselves. Like, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're kind of boring. And there's something just like, I don't know, what do you think? Tell me what you think about this, but I feel like there's something quaint about the fact that heavy metal art is almost self-aware. Like, it knows it's fucking ridiculous and it doesn't care.
I agree 100%. Not only is it self-aware, but like a lot of times it can be self-deprecating too. Like, metal knows, like, you know, when bands put together these ideas for their cover arts or whatever, and they, you know, kind of tell the artist or whoever's doing it, like I feel like a lot of time they're almost coming up with these ideas that like either make fun of themselves as a band or as like metal music as a genre on like in whole, you know what I mean? Like, they're very self-aware, and like I said, they can be very self-deprecating at the same time.
I mean, and on the other side, conversely, on the other end, there are some bands who you're like, are these motherfuckers aware of what they're doing? Like, I think of Manowar as like the biggest offenders of this topic. Like, I mean, I love Manowar. Okay, so mark that down under my preposterous statements of the year, like right next to, I'm a burgeoning deathcore fan. I love Manowar. And some of their,
right there with you.
Some of their cover art, I mean, my God, the loincloths and the oiled up leather. And I think if you're a wrestling fan, a lot of this stuff feels natural, but
it's insane. Okay, I think of like what you brought up, Manowar, and I was going to bring this up later on, but this is a great place to bring it up now. Manowar's Warriors of the World. Holy crap, dude. Like,
Warriors of the World is just out of control on so many levels. And so this whole self-awareness of it, like how much, especially within the 80s, how much cover art looks like it was straight up some band, you know, late high school years, maybe college years, they just have a friend who can sort of draw well. And they're like, dude, make us a cover art. I want some dragons and shit. I want a castle in there. They gotta be burly. Just go do it. And a week later, you got your cover art. And everybody just rolled with it. No one gave a fuck. And to this day, there's like this, I cringe at times when I look through my shelves at the cover art that like you actually sat down as a band and you collaborated with your label and you financed somebody and this is what you got.
And this is what you want to roll with. This one right
Jesus. Here. So, and that's so unique for heavy metal. Like, I think about other genres, to your point, you brought this up a little bit, but like other genres have their own style. Like, I can very much, if I were to close my eyes, if I want to imagine a classic country record, I can do it. And hip-hop's absolutely, especially like in the 90s, that's got its own aesthetic, you know, like the bold fonts and the dude that's looking all fly as fuck and there's cash symbols. I can think of those Houston area, Southern rap or Paul Wall style hip-hop records. But
absolutely,
so they've got their own aesthetic too. I'm not even trying to fuck with that or say that they don't have their own thing going on. But I will say that unique to heavy metal is this unending commitment to using art, like painted, airbrushed, digitally created, but unique artistic creations for the cover art. So I want to just throw this out there, Franny. We sort of touched on this, but there's an allure to the heavy metal cover, and that's what I'm trying to get at. That because it so often employs this artistic approach of these grandiose themes, it has a mystique around it. And I keep on throwing that word out there, mystique, both in this episode and other episodes, just to define it moving forward, the grounding assumptions, defining mystique moving forward. Well, it's a fascinating aura of mystery, awe, and power surrounding someone or something. You pick up that record, it's like me going back to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory episode, Battle of the Best of the Vest. I'm picking up that dissection jacket in the fucking thrift store, and that thing had a mystique. It had a power that transcended its own denim, seams. It was something more. It was an object of power. It was an elemental force.
It drew you to it.
Seriously, I was like magnetically pulled. So I don't know. It's just one of these things. It's hard to quantify something that you just feel on a spiritual level. And if you're listening to this show, I know you know. So this is more just like, as usual with the Druids of Doom, this is just us as metal fans and you as metal fans. We're all just jerking each other off here, okay? I'm telling you stuff you already know. I mean, we're talking about, you got your little Manowar cover art. You know we're jerking each other off here. So, Frannie, I think I want to just quickly touch on another important point before we look at some styles of cover art. Is cover art really came to prominence at a time when, and this is sort of happening again, but the vinyl LP was king. So you had like a big fucking canvas to give your cover art. You've got a 12 by 12 inch canvas. This is before the CD. So it just felt natural for people to take advantage of that large amount of real estate to convey this mystique filled aura about what was to come when you put that wax on your platter and put the needle into it.
Hell yeah. And it makes sense though, like you said, that the vinyl LP, size is perfect for all these beautiful pieces of artwork that get made up. It's a lot easier to make something look more clear and vivid on a 12 by 12 vinyl record cover than it is like a 6 by 6 CD or whatever the size of those things are, or even a cassette tape. Shit, cassettes, like, good luck with that. It's basically just like a solid background with a name on it. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't pull off the kind of stuff that you can do with a 12 by 12 record cover.
I think the power of cassettes comes from the format itself, but you're right. It's not the cover art. It's more just like, it's the holding this little thing. It's the nostalgia. I mean, cassettes are kind of back. I can't let myself get into that medium. I've got enough CDs and vinyl. I can't do it.
I've been holding fast. Hold.
Yeah,
dude.
Seriously. Well, Frannie, before we move forward, I just want to give a couple of quick shout outs. When it comes to the style, I mean, we both know that heavy metal's got more fractures than like the Mojave Desert in the middle of the fucking high noon sun. It's just, it's fissured and fractured across the place. There are so many, it's niches inside of niches, genres inside of genres. And all that being said, there are still tropes at the parent genre level. You think about traditional heavy metal. I think of a band like Cirith Ungol or something, or like Omen from America. Although that might be, now I could just feel the gatekeeper in me. The fucking, is that, no, it's actually, that's American power metal. Well, fuck you, inner gatekeeper. But traditional heavy metal, I think of, you're going to get a lot of high fantasy imagery. You're going to get a lot of warriors holding swords. You're going to get a lot of fantastical beasts of burden, and it's usually going to be a really painterly sort of look. So I know if I see something like that, if it's an Armored Saint cover, an Eternal Champion cover, it's probably going to have that sort of fantasy approach. Whereas, like a thrash metal band, I think of like pictures of zombies or war or political unrest or nuclear holocaust.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just kind of like when I think of like thrash metal album cover or cover art that like pops into my head, I think of like Metallica's like Kill 'Em All, or even Ride the Lightning. The thing with Kill 'Em All is it's very subtle. I mean, okay, it's not subtle, but it's simple cover art. It's simple cover art, with the hammer and the blood flowing around it, but you can kind of feel like, okay, this is probably going to be a little bit of an angrier album. There's going to be a lot of high intensity stuff just by looking at it. That's just me, but then that's coming from the purview of I know what the album sounds like.
Well, and when you get into death metal, that's where the fucking lid gets blown off. That's where you're going to have decapitated men, bloated with a tiny little penis sitting on the cover. You're going to have corpses in tubs. You're going to have a post-death cunnilingus on a corpse with their corpse husband. Shout out to fucking Cannibal Corpse, my God. But death metal is all about the gore, whereas black metal covers, now you're getting into, forest castles in winter and everlasting Fimble winter, cold, monochromatic. And, so the point is, genres have specific styles. And once you get your brain attuned to this sort of visual literacy, you can pretty quickly get an idea of what a sound is going to be like just based on its cover art. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
to close this little section before we move into what we're all here to talk about today, which is cover art or cover Shart, I want to real briefly, without boring you with a bunch of names here, call out some of the bigger artists. Like, I want to big props to Derek Riggs. Like, when you think of heavy metal art, he did all the Iron Maiden work. You got Ed Repka, who did Death and Megadeth and Municipal Waste. Dan Seagrave, Dismember and Entomb, Morbid Angel. And then this guy's pretty versatile. Michael Whelan did Obituaries, Cause of Death. He did Sepultura, Sirith Ungol. So there's just been a lot of really important artists. Doug, I can't forget to say Doug Johnson, who did all the classic Judas Priest. And when I say the classic Judas Priest, I know you can imagine those mechanical looking eagles and owls and shit. So, whether it's the Necrolord doing covers for Dissection or Vincent Locke doing all of Cannibal Corpse's work, there's just been a lot of really cool artists over the years. But there's also been a lot of shit artists over the years too. Now, for this next section, Droomies, this is going to be wild. So what we're going to do here, I have handpicked for your consideration what I think to be some of the more memorable, some of the more interesting, some of the more fecal-filled covers from the history of heavy metal's deep, rich pantheon. So, if you want to head over, right, this is what I suggest, all right? We're trying to cross-pollinate, all right? Head over to Instagram. If you're not already following Druids of Doom, you're going to find a post on our Druids of Doom podcast on Instagram of all the album covers we're about to talk about. Of course, if you want to be like, if you're an old head, go to Google, type them in. But for fuck's sake, head over to Instagram if you can. Help us out.
It'll be a lot easier that way, too. It'll be easier for us, easier for you. It's your classic win-win situation.
Now, most of these are going to probably be new to Franny. He's been digging his balls off ever since he got into heavy metal. But I'm going to be honest, if he's hit any of these in his natural trials and tribulations of digging, I'm going to be really pissed off that he didn't instantly text me to let me know, hey, have you seen this? So... Now, Franny, before we even get into this, let me just do some grounding assumptions. All of these covers, Droomies, are in some way shitty. But as you may or may not, depending on the amount of gastrointestinal issues you had over your life, you may or may not be familiar with the Bristol stool chart. Now, if you're not familiar... If you're not familiar with the Bristol stool chart, it is a continuum, type 1 through 7, of fecal consistency. Now, on your type 1, this is your solid sort of Cocoa Puffs level consistency, all the way down to type 7, which is watery, no solid pieces, sheer piss shit coming out of your ass. And why is this important? Well, as I said, all these covers have some degree of shittiness. Now, whether they're cover art or cover Shart is going to be up for me and Franny to decide as a collective. So, without further ado, let us begin. So, Franny, opening up the cover art or cover Shart debate, we've got Deathcore Metal Tit.
Oh my god!
Now, right off the bat, right off the bat, we're milking strong right off the bat here.
Jesus fuck!
If you as a band have the fortitude to name your first album Metal Tit, I think that gives you some credence in the conversation.
Yeah, for real. Oh my god, what the
now, on
fuck
this cover,
am I looking at, dude?
What am I looking at? What I'm looking at is a fucking a mammary gland tank. We got a tank shaped like a tit, firing on some soldiers on a snow-covered field, and in the background looks like we got some more titties that are shooting off radioactive waste. Completely monochromatic.
They're fucking tits that would be used for like nuclear plant, like the big exhaust things for nuclear plants, but they're tits. And then one of the tits has a radioactive symbol on it. And I just noticed the tank that looks like a tit. The two cannons also look like tits with very large nipples.
It's a tit on a tit. And like the thing that became apparent to me right when I looked at this, based on the shape of these, whoever drew this has never actually felt a tit.
Never felt or seen one, ever.
Like, these look like lemons. These are lemon-shaped titties.
They are. Okay, yeah, you're 100% right, because the two like radioactive things in the background looks like somebody took a couple of lemons and like jammed them into the ground. And then
Just
the tank
overall
looks,
bizarre.
it's just nuts. It's nuts. Well, I should say it's tits, but not in a good way.
The best thing I can say about this is that you can tell the rivet work on the side of this titty tank. It looks pretty good.
Okay, yeah, whoever put the panels on the titty tank did do a good job with the river work. I'll give them that.
Definitely a union job.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%.
Well, Franny, I don't know about you, but for me, this is 100% cover Shart.
This is factually cover Shart. This is terrible. Terrible. I can't get over this shit, dude.
Fucking metal tit. And then the dual fonts, the multiple fonts. My God.
They're not even the same. Like, just a little effort, guys. Come on.
Moving on to cover 2. It's hard to, I just got to be honest, just trying to cleanse my brain from the metal tit is not as easy as I thought it would be. But moving on to Mortis, the Stargate. Now, this is just a cute little hocus pocus project. When I look at this guy Mortis, he's hanging out, he's gently hovering like a nice little butterfly behind just a beautiful this dawn sky. He's got just this this hocus pocus couture sort of vibe. He looks like, you know what this actually makes me think of now that this looks like if like Edward Scissorhands and the Lost Boys had a baby. And
it's so true, dude.
That's what, and you know what? This looks like if Edward Scissorhands and the Lost Boys had a baby, and that baby joined the Heaven Gates cult. That's what you would get, right? You know what gets me about this? That delicate right leg, his right leg. He's got that so gingerly raised up, like he's just like,
yeah.
He's got a levity about him. He's like, he doesn't have a care in the world. He's ready to go shopping.
He's a dainty vampire goblin thing. I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at. It looks like he's got like a wrestling or a boxing belt strapped to his chest too, which kind of leads me to believe that he's actually a good hand-to-hand combat fighter, but also probably not very good. Yeah, he's got a skull cod piece.
The skull cod piece. He is not, and first of all, there's no fucking chance he needed a skull that big. He could have had a fucking baby skull and been fine. Well, he's got he's got at least a 7 or 8 year old skull right there, and there's no way he's filling that thing out.
No. He's borderline a Ken doll.
he's a eunuch and a fucking where is he, by the way? Is he in Nevada? Like, he looks like he's in New Mexico. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
like, this dude's Scandinavian. Where the fuck is he? This looks like it's in the middle of a desert.
Okay, you want to know what's kind of freaking me out about this thing, right? Is if he's trying to be a vampire, why is he out while the sun's going down? He's still going to get hurt by the sun. But that's
I think that this is Dawn. I think these are his last moments before he's got to get his ass inside a fucking, shelter before he burns up. It looks like he's like, "Oh, goodbye, night," right before he's got to go hide.
Oh boy.
Well, this is tough.
I'm gonna go out. Yeah, this is straight cover Shart, dude. This is not good. I'm not a fan of this one either. This is not good.
I don't know what to. I kind of like it.
You're speechless. You're fucking speechless, dude.
I'm speechless because I'm having to reconcile that I kind of like it. Fuck.
Oh man. All right. So this will be our. You going cover art on this one?
I'm gonna say this is cover fart. It's not quite art. It's not quite Shart. I'm gonna somewhere in between. It's not even Bristol stool chart worthy.
All right. Okay, so this will be the first one that we differ on. I'm curious to see what else, what other ones we disagree on here. Oh boy, can we go to the next one, please? I need to rid myself of this.
This one is just. It makes me need peroxide for my eyes.
God,
this is so rough. But the album is The Last Supper by Belphegor. Oh my God, this is so fucking heavy. We got a little baby cut up like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And it's It's very clear it's called The Last Supper because he's about to get served, maybe like on some hearty rye bread or something, but this is just nasty.
This is rough, and it looks like they already snacked on his hand and everything.
Seriously,
Jeez.
like whoever was about to serve this little guy, like he was so hungry he had to take a bite of the whole hand before bringing it out for the family.
Oh my God, dude! I will say that the knife looks pretty nice, though. I will say that, like, it's a well drawn knife.
Really, it's well executed. But you know the only thing about this though that takes a little bit of the realism away, like. You know, like how that show where everything is made of cake? I feel like this is almost like a baby that's just made of cake, and they cut it up into nice little pieces. Yeah. This baby looks like he's really good red velvet sort of cake.
Oh, yeah. You kind of see a little some chocolate on the inside there with like a maybe nice strawberry jam on top of it. Holy fuck, this is dark.
The little subtle drip of Robitussin coming out of the little baby's mouth. This cover has haunted me for years. It's one of those things. I had to see it, so now you have to see it. And Droomies, this is all part of your tattooed to your brain now forever. So I'm calling this one cover art.
I agree. I am calling this cover art also. It's fucked up in a weirdly twisted, beautiful kind of way. It's, I would definitely say this is cover art.
Now, the next one here is... this one I'm gonna struggle with. I have so much to say.
Oh my God.
It's got so much going on. But Iron Angel, Hellish Crossfire. I don't even need to listen to these guys. I know there's some kind of Luca Turilli power metal. But Franny, where the fuck do we start with this one?
Oh man, I don't even know. Let's see here. We got a goblin-looking demon on the left side, and he's all in green on the top left, and then on the top right. We got like this weird dragon that looks like he's got that he ate paint chips or something like that because he ain't looking right, and he's all in red. And then we got this weird like siren lady thing with bird arms. I don't know what that's called, but bird arms down there.
Can we just take a moment before we move on from that goblin on the top left? He looks like a weightlifting era Dave Chappelle waiting to get a blowjob. that fucking goblin looks like Dave Chappelle, and he doesn't look menacing. He looks like they blurred out just when they needed to hide a raging fucking hard on.
Oh
and
yeah,
he's excited. He doesn't look foreboding. He looks like he's waiting to blow. So
yeah,
I just got to throw that out there straight away. And when you look at the foreground with these two figures. The woman on the left, it looks like she was probably stenciled because her proportions, at least from the waist down, they look pretty decent. Yeah. But something really fucked up is happening with these wing arms. They don't make any sense. And this guy, I hope he's not trying to protect her with his fucking lavender bikini cut undies.
No, dude, no, it's not good. It's so weird. He's in the lavender bikini undies, like Wrecker alluded to. But then right above that, he's got like almost a borderline full like chest piece of armor. Like
that's
nothing
a girdle,
else,
bro.
That's
a fucking girdle. That's not armor, dude. That's a fucking Spanx covered girdle. That's holding his shit together. And that's not a sword. He's got like a 4-foot long at-home inseminator. And I don't know. Look at the tip of that thing. It's built to hold a reservoir of semen.
It's flat. What is it? What is happening here?
A pump action handle for perfect delivery.
God. And she's like caressing his ass too. Oh my God. And you know what else I just noticed? The Iron Angel Hellish Crossfire thing is like off.
Yeah, it's like
It's like tilted and canted, but not in an artistic way. It's like, oh fuck, we gotta get this to the printers like now. Just slap it on there kind of way.
Now here's where I'm struggling with this one. Between the Dave Chappelle goblin waiting to get blown, between the lavender fucking bikini cut undies, between the Spanx covered girdle and the at-home 4-foot long inseminator, I'm thinking that, Franny, I feel like this is one of those B-rate movies that's so bad, it's good.
Oh yeah. I agree. Just looking at this is probably a terrible album that I want to keep playing.
This is for me. It's so shitty. I like it. I so bad. I like it. So I'm calling this one cover art. I think it's it's halfway down the Bristol stool chart.
I was going to say the same thing. This is so bad. It's good. I agree. This is cover art. I can't get over the wings, though. Oh, God. Whoa, boy.
Whoa, boy, indeed, Franny. So next we've got ominous intercorpse. Now, I don't. This is just like an assault on the senses. I feel.
Yeah.
I think I need to like file a police report because I may or may not be witnessing a rape. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Straight away, this corpse fucker has a pretty decent body.
Yeah. She's got one might say she's got a rockin' bod.
Something's a little bit fucked up with the way her shoulders are. Like her left shoulder looks a little blown out, and something's weird about her forehead, but all of that becomes quickly forgettable once you scan below her like pendant area.
Yeah. I don't really have any words to say about this one, dude. It's like you said, this is just a total affront on all of my senses.
This is an affront. This is like, I am not a prude. This is offensive. I feel offended to see this.
Yeah.
This is the kind of shit that Tipper Gore was right about. Like, this is what you don't want your kids. And what about like this gargoyle angel behind her that's just sort of like, tee-hee. It looks like he's
dude.
That fucking angel's enjoying watching this show.
Oh my God. I've been here for years. This is the first time I've seen this one.
I don't want to do it, but I feel like I got to zoom in just to see what this zombie corpse is working with. Like there's clearly penetration happening on this photo.
Yeah, this is
like you have labia on this fucking cover art.
Yeah, dude, this is bad.
It's just too much.
This is. I'm speechless, man. I don't even have anything to say. Like what?
Fucking fooled me twice, shame on me, because the names of the band is the name of the album's Intercorpse, and I'm sitting here shocked. I'm looking at a fucking half-rotten corpse porking this cemetery traveling fucking corpse fucker with a Glenn Danzig she's a Misfits fan. When I look at her, she's definitely a Misfits fan.
Yeah, oh yeah. This looks like a young Elvira or something like that.
Young Elvira got the fishnets and the candles. She put some time into setting a little ambiance. Like she probably has like, a charcuterie board over in the corner for afterward. Maybe she has some ice cream, some cigarettes for this guy.
There's a book in the background. There's a good chance that's a Kama Sutra.
Jesus Christ. Well,
Zamba Sutra, since it's a zombie?
Zamba. I can't argue that fucking third edition. Well, Franny, I don't know. Between the voyeuristic angel in the back who's seeing sex for the first time, between the half-rotten dick and the labia and the fucking big forehead, I mean, where are we landing on this thing?
Because it's so just, whoa. This is
so
cover
offensive.
Shart, dude. This
is cover Shart, dude. Like it's halfway executed, okay? It's just so fucking offensive to visually, I don't ever want to see this again.
No, if I could live my whole life without seeing that ever again, and I would die a happy man.
Well, this last one as we round out is something different, Franny. This is something different. So I feel like we've stumbled on someone's Facebook posts of like a nice little vacation picture from like, I don't know, Santa Barbara. We've got Sacred Son, self-titled Sacred Son.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. What is happening in this? What? This is just fucking lazy. This is straight up fucking lazy.
This is like, to me, it's so interesting because he's like subverting expectations around like what a black metal cover should be. Like, whether it's castles or a forest with spooky creatures or just grimness. This is like none of that. This is like a sepia-toned, nice little vacation slide that you would see on someone's vacation reel.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
This is a dad bod picture. He's got his little part going. He just got his haircut. He's got his like fucking $18 shades he picked up on a road trip at a gas station on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, look guys, I'm at the coast of Spain checking this out. Look at it, so beautiful.
Yeah, like me and Cynthia just got some great paella, and now take our picture in front of this beautiful. We've got a chartered fishing cruise later tonight. Hopefully, we can catch some tuna. Thanks for thumbs up on the trip, guys.
But there was a fight. That's why he cropped Cynthia out.
Oh, a terrible fight! Like they're not a couple anymore. But this is as good a picture he's got. You know, you can see he's only like a stage 3 on the hair loss chart, so he still wants to get a picture in of this time while he can.
This is man.
An idyllic schooner cuts the waves in the background. I mean, all this is a pleasant picture. It's not what I would think of as black metal, but is this cover art? Is it cover Shart?
Man, this is a tough one. Okay, I say there's some stipulations. You take the dude out, it's cover art. You keep the guy in, it's cover fart. I don't think it's that bad, but it could be better if he wasn't there.
I like the Andy Warhol sort of subversion of expectations on this, and it riles up black metal fans. So for me, I'm calling this one cover art.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair. I could see that could really ruffle some black metal feathers on this one for sure.
Well, Franny, if there was Epicac for my eyes, or if there was some sort of Men in Black treatment that could wipe the last 15 minutes from my life, I would gladly do so, and I don't ever want to see any of those fucking covers again, but I still found the whole experience enjoyable, and I think I'm going to be thinking closely about where I fall on the Bristol stool chart, probably tomorrow after having gone through that.
This has given me immediate diarrhea. I will have to go crap after this, just putting that out there. This was terrible.
I feel like I need like a full soul level evacuation is what I need. Well, Franny, we want to just first of all, I want to give a real quick shout out to Destruction Derby, Richard the Reprehensible, and Lucas the Leatherbound for kind of, first of all, following the Druids of Doom from the start and suggesting that we talk about heavy metal and sports. Like, there's a lot of touch points between heavy metal and sports, but like from the perspective of like what's the most metal thing in sports, or who are the most metal fan bases? What about mascots? Who are the most committed fans? And so we're going to give you just a short entry into this topic. Of course, a lot of you are from, parts of America, and some of you are from Europe and Asia. So hopefully all of these make sense. We're going to kind of keep it an abridged version. And at the end of this, if you want to reach out, I'm especially thinking to our European folks about like, what's the most metal soccer clubs? Oh fuck, you're going to hate me now. The most metal football clubs. Like, keep it easy, guys. All right. I'm just a dumb American. If you know what our education system's like over here. Okay. So
man.
What sparked this whole conversation? Well, I would say, Franny, as Minnesotans coming from a terrible sports climate, sports can just be bleak, brutal, and cold, and they can just beat you down and show you the horrors of our own mortality in ways that heavy metal can. So there's just a lot of crossover between the things that can happen to your body, between the things that can happen to your mind, both as an athlete and as a fan within sports, that can happen inside of a heavy metal record. So
absolutely.
Franny, I want to just start, and if you've got any thoughts about this, jump in, but the most basic question I wanted to answer to myself was, what's the most metal thing in all of sports? And there's a lot of things I could point to, but for me, it is the Maori All Blacks Haka war dance ritual. The way they do their primal sort of like tribal war dance just hits at the sort of feelings I get when I see a band like Amon Amarth play a song that's all about ancestors, or watching a black metal band just rock the fuck out on the top of a mountain inside of an Immortal video. But something about the Maori All Blacks Haka war dance is this primal expression of humanity that really resonates within heavy metal for me.
I couldn't agree more. That was like one of the first things that came to my head when we first kind of kicked around this idea was the All Blacks. Like, just that insane haka that they do, and like their face is just, like it's nuts, dude. It strikes. The whole thing is to strike fear into their opponents. That but it's nuts, and it is legit metal as fuck, dude. Like there's nothing that tops that. I couldn't agree with you more on that one.
Well, and in terms of most metal fan bases, I'm going to have a few things to say. There's a lot to unpack here, but we'll keep it tight for you. But I would say, when it comes to American football, the Oakland Raiders they have the black hole with a bunch of crazy fans that look like they could be at a Guar concert. full regalia, just dressed up to the
Oh, yeah.
nines. I think they're in the conversation, Franny. I think Detroit Pistons fans are definitely in the Detroit Pistons fans will square up on you without even batting an eye. They will square up on you and throw those hands without even if you haven't ever seen The Malice in the Palace, I mean, take a look. They're the probably only fucking fans that will straight up storm a court to try to fight 6'8" hulking dudes, but they did it.
Jesus H. Good God, man. That's nuts.
I mean, Detroit's a hard-ass city regardless, but Detroit Pistons fans don't fuck around. I think, Franny, I know you're a fan of Formula One, so maybe this is sort of similar, but just NASCAR fans in general, or race fans in general, I think are heavy metal as fuck. I mean,
yeah.
You pile into a track, sit in 100-degree weather, watch cars go by 100 of times, all with the idea that at some point someone's going to get in a fiery wreck and maybe some of that wreck flies into your friend next to you.
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. I've done that. I mean, like, I went to Formula One down in Mexico and it was hot as fuck that day. And I'm glad nobody did get in an accident, but at the same time, there's a part of my lizard brain that was just like, God, please let me see a wreck or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you, man.
Total reptile brain.
And the fans get fucking heated. Like, fans of one team or one driver, they talk some serious mad shit about the other ones, and they get into fights over that kind of stuff. It's nuts, man.
Fucking Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, pick a side. Which side are you on? You gotta pick.
Max Verstappen all the way, baby. Any other Mercedes fans out there, come at me, bro. Come at me.
Well, I also got to thinking, so most metal fan bases, you got anything more to throw at me on that?
Yeah. Just a couple quick ones. We're talking to our British and European friends out there. The Bushwhackers, Millwall supporters. These guys are fucking nuts. I mean, they're synonymous with hooliganism and violence, so like from the early days. And then the Red Stars from Serbia. These guys, when they played Croatia in 1990, they had a huge ass fight at the end of it that basically started the Croatian War of Independence. It's fucking brutal as hell, dude. Like, it's fucking nuts. These guys are crazies.
Fuck, I feel like I have some more thoughts on fans, but I mean, none of them are able to start a goddamn actual war. Most of my fans I'm going to talk about are fat, entitled Americans who think that they've got an axe to grind, but are really just babies. But, well, most brutal, if there was a fan base that was brutal death metal, I'm thinking, so brutal death metal, I would not necessarily think of it as the most thinking person's heavy metal. I'm thinking, going back to like our inaugural episode with Halder, I'm thinking Knuckle Dragon, Denny's Line Cooks. And I'm going to say, you know what? First of all, I love Philadelphia as a city. I truly do. But fuck Eagle fans. I can't stand them. They are absolutely the juggalos of the NFL. And they're also, if brutal death metal had a fan base, it's Eagles fans. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm thinking of Craigle over in Perth, or we've got some friends down in South America, like the Christian Boys, if you hear this. I know you can put some work in Christian Boys, but if you met Eagles fans, you would get what I'm saying. And if you don't know what I mean, just go to Google and type in Eagles fan eats a mouthful of horse shit to celebrate Super Bowl 52, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Eagles fans are the most debased, chromosome missing, idiotic, paint huffing, horse shit eating degenerates that you would ever run into. They don't deserve a spot. If there's a spaceship trying to save planet Earth, you make sure that there are no fucking Eagles fans on it, or we are doomed. Wherever we're going next, we are fucking doomed.
Just fucked. Oh man, I can't deny any of that, dude.
Just fucking acne-covered backs, wife beaters, smacking their girlfriends for any goddamn reason, lowbrow, GED not having, dumb, white trash pieces of shit. I can't stand Eagles fans, but they are brutal death metal fans. So for that, I like them a little bit.
They give a little bit of a tip of the cap. Just a little bit of a tip of the cap.
So the most committed fans. Now, I think you kind of already mentioned some that should probably fall under this category, but when you think about most committed fans, I think of like black metal. Black metal has the most committed fans of heavy metal. This is a religious group. We go back to our genre deathmatch discussion, and one of the great strengths of the fighting force of black metal was that they have kamikaze-like allegiance to their music. So which fans have a kamikaze-like allegiance to their team? And the first one, Franny, the first one that comes to my mind is the Bills Mafia. The Bills Mafia, if you're not familiar, so the Buffalo Bills, one of the longest standing, longest suffering teams. And by the way, shout out to Undeath. I know you boys love the fucking Bills Mafia. These guys, these fans are the most committed you can be to a club that has basically toiled in futility for its entire existence. Nothing but sorrow, misery, and pain. And that's coming from a Vikings fan. But these guys...
Yeah.
Oh, you go to Google, check out some of the tailgating these boys do. They're going through tables like Mankind at a fucking wrestling match. I'm talking top of the cage, bumping through tables, crowds going nuts, ravenous, people taking shots off of everyone's ass. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, coming from like an American's perspective, especially like you said, a Vikings perspective, the Bills have just gotten effed every which way to Sunday at every possible turn that could have happened to them. And yeah, they're definitely committed. I mean, I could put the Vikings fans up there too, because
the Vikings are going to come up for me. I'm going to put a pin in that. I don't think we're the most committed fans. I do think we're in the running for the longest suffering fans, but Bills fans, I do think, but they have that great tailgating setup. We are in the middle of a metropolitan area, so we're kind of at a disadvantage with that, but I would just a quick shout out to Toronto Maple Leafs fans. They are also fucking maniacs. They haven't had a title in 50 years, but they've got unrivaled dedication. Shout out to Nebraska Cornhuskers fans. Now, if you live in Nebraska, your life is already bleak as shit. But they've sold out every home game going back to the 60s. So shout out to you for most committed fans, most black metal fans, but also Celtic FC. If I had to sit down and pick out, when I say football now, I'm talking European football. Celtic FC, I see you. If I had to pick out a club on your side of the pond, it would be you for the most committed fans. You know, Dortmund is also Liverpool. I mean, though they deserve to be mentioned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fuck Millwall even, too. Like, they're fanatical, man. They're fanatical.
Now, there's a lot of great metal mascots. Maybe they're not heavy metal, but they look like they could be in all sports. But just a couple I want to throw out there. The Philadelphia Flyers have this mascot called Gritty that they put out like in 2018. This dude, he looks like a bona fide municipal waste Megadeth thrasher. He looks like a heavy metal parking lot shotgunning beers rager kind of guy. I gotta mention him.
Big googly eyes, fire red fur, just gaping maw, ready to eat your flesh and have a good time doing it. Yeah, Gritty is definitely metal as hell, dude.
And I didn't want to go down too big of a rabbit hole, but I'll just throw out there when we talk about mascots that could be heavy metal as fuck, this next one looks like it should have been a John Wayne Gacy painting. It looks like it should have been an acid fucking bath cover. But the Pelicans mascot, which is King Cake Baby, if you haven't seen King Cake Baby, you gotta look this thing up. He will chill you to your core. He's like this porcelain doll headed fucking little 1930s child's baby, and when you look at him, he will fill you with a dread and malaise that's hard to describe.
Oh my god, dude! I'm glad you brought this up, because if you didn't, I was going to. The King Cake Baby from the New Orleans Pelicans. There's no words. The first time I saw it, there was no words. It's just straight horror fuel. It is terrifying. It should not exist. It should not exist. And I will just what? Okay, we'll move on after this. But what the fuck were they thinking? Like, this is terrible. You're the Pelicans and you choose King Cake. I don't get it.
New Orleans is just it's a fucked up town.
Somebody from New Orleans, come right in and let us know what the fuck is going on, either on our Instagram or at our Gmail, druidsdoompodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what the fuck.
I mean, New Orleans just got they just got so much history that's dark, and like, you know, you got the Creole influence, you've got all these kudzu-covered graves and old mansions. They've got the Museum of Death down there. They've got this convergence of cultures and these African influences and French influences. And it's all just like this big melting pot that has created some really unique cultural things. And King Cake Baby is now on that pantheon of shit from New Orleans that keeps people that aren't from New Orleans kind of at bay. If you didn't have Mardi Gras, if you didn't have all that fantastic Creole Cajun food, I don't think anyone would be coming down there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. They should have left King Cake Baby on the cutting room floor.
And King Cake Baby is embroiled in some sort of legal dispute. There's like this horror movie that I don't know if it's out or if it's in production, but King Cake Baby is claiming that this horror movie stole his likeness. So keep an eye. So that if you don't think KCB is scary, well, the proof is in the pudding. They're fucking making movies with this guy. So Franny, I want to close out, and I'm open to any other thoughts you've got, but I want to close out with what I've got, which is around this idea of which franchise, which club is most in need of a power metal prophecy. Which long-suffering, miserable, depressed, downtrodden, beaten down, lacking life, suicidal, cut my wrists in a tub, make it warm, and send a letter to everyone I know franchise. Who has suffered the longest? Who needs a hero? I need a hero. Someone to rise up. A warrior who has been foretold, just in like a prophecy on a power metal album, to change the tides of this war, to raise us up from our low position, to bond the clans together and unite us in victory. I'll tell you right now, you know what I'm going to say. What do you got to say?
Well, okay, so besides the Minnesota Vikings, it has to be the Minnesota Vikings. Holy fuck, dude.
Minnesota Vikings. My God. Miserable ass club from a miserable ass town.
Just fucking pain. Every
terrible
season
food,
is pain.
Worse weather, and we're still dealing with it all the time. We pass on the pain of our fandom generationally. Like it's stored in our bodies on a cellular level. I recently read a book about intergenerational trauma called The Body Remembers, and it should have had a footnote about Vikings fans in it.
It's true, man. It's true. Like I saw this video of this little Vikings kid crying because we just got bumped out of the playoffs, and I saw that video. I'm just like, oh, little soldier, you have no idea. Know. You have
it's just getting started. Kid, this is season 1 for you. It's coming again. I'm sure this is a joke that's told in other towns, but it's the old, I want the Minnesota Vikings to be my pallbearer so that when I die, they can let me down one more time. Fucking A. And it's been true for me, but it's, we don't have, even though I think we deserve pole position in this conversation, there are other fan bases that have suffered that maybe are at the table. The Cleveland Browns have never been to a fucking Super Bowl. We've been gutted 4 times, but they've never even been there. The old expression.
They've never been to the dance.
What is it? What is it better, to love and to have lost than to never have loved at all? Well, the Cleveland Browns would say, I would like to love. I have never even loved.
Yeah.
The Bills, shout out to our boys again, Undeath. But I don't actually include them here because they have a legitimate glimmer of hope. It feels like their window is wide fucking open, where ours, we've got like an eraser wedged under a busted ass window that's barely letting in a slither of air just into the house. That's like a shack in the middle of the woods, dilapidated walls, black mold. We do not have a window. No, all right, we have a crack.
We have a crack. That's all we got, man. That's all we got.
And we used to have a kinship with like the Boston Red Sox. We used to have a kinship with the Cubs. But now they've gone on and gotten the monkey off their back. Meanwhile, we still toil here in the frozen north.
And it's painful, man. Pain.
Well,
a lot of pain.
Franny, just as heavy metal can be cathartic, sports can be cathartic. Just as heavy metal can gut you, so too can sports. But those are my just from the the hip thoughts around this. Do you have any other thoughts that the Droomies might need to know?
Well, doing some, some field work, I came across this sport. This would be real quick. I came across this game called Kabaddi. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it is like extreme ass tag mixed with like Red Rover, which is like full contact sports. It's prominent in like India and parts of Asia and surrounding countries. Okay, fucking, you guys go Google Kabaddi and tell me that shit's not metal as fuck, because it is nuts. Like, there's people getting slammed on the ground. I guess basically you just got to touch one of their opposing teammates and then try to get back to your end zone before they crush your ass. But it's nuts. I thought that was metal as hell. Go check it out. But other than that, that's all I got.
Kabaddi sounds like martial arts, no doubt. Well, Frannie, I know that you've got some hot piping album review to bring us. We've all been waiting with bated breath. You know, Franny's always digging in. He's a burgeoning metalhead who is at least a brown belt, just below a black belt. He's been going to his classes, kicking through triple plywood, showing us what he can do. And every week he's bringing us something heavier and harder than the week before. So the question all of us Droomies have is, can he keep it up? Can he keep serving these sort of world-class academic reviews that guide our listening journeys? I'm on the edge of my seat, Franny, just like our listeners are. What do you got?
All right. Okay. First off, has there ever been a band or an album that has made you want to LARP super duper bad?
Yes.
And what was it?
Well, I did LARP it up at Amon Amarth no less than 6 weeks ago, so
That's
I guess
true.
Blind Guardians probably made me want to LARP it up. Alluvite, if I don't know if I'm ever pronouncing that right. Pagan Rain is a band that made me. Oakhelm, just
Perfect.
a whole lot of folk metal bands.
Absolutely. All right. So, what if I told you that my album that I'm bringing you today for a review is Fellowship's second album?
You're fucking joking.
I totally am. I can't believe
God.
neither of us have talked about this album.
I'd be so annoyed with you if you did. Like, I'm closing out. I'm signing out of this episode. You can finish this one solo.
Yeah, I had to fuck with you a little bit, but I can't believe neither of us have not talked about this album at all. It came out in 1998, and it's by the top flight thrashing Teutonic Titans of Tower. I'm talking about Blind Guardian.
Woo.
And the album Nightfall in Middle Earth. I can't believe neither of us have never talked about this album in depth. It blows my mind. I had to go back and revisit it because I love the shit out of Blind Guardian. Been on a Blind Guardian kick lately, and this is probably one of my favorite albums.
As good as it gets.
I will say, though, that I had no idea that this was based on Tolkien's Silmarillion.
Cinnamon, Sibowitz.
Sephophis? I have no idea. Yeah, I had no idea it was.
Silmarillion, as I think. Yeah.
I had no idea it was based on that, and
well, you've had sex before, so that's why you didn't know.
Yeah, bingo.
You've had a relationship.
Yeah, several. So like, I in my honest opinion, I feel like there's like no bad songs on this album. There are some quote unquote weaker songs, but even those are like still really good songs in my opinion. I think of like the Curse of Fëanor or like the Eldar. Like I don't think they're like the best songs on the album, but I feel like they're like needed respites from like when the action is happening. The riffing in every song is just catchy as a motherfucker. Andre just makes his guitar sing to the point where it's like almost like a backup vocalist itself to Hansi. Like he does such a good job like matching the pitch and tenor and the feel of like how Hansi is delivering these super powerful vocals. It's just top notch, and I love the shit out of it. And I will say, like, the first time I heard Blind Guardian, I was not a super big fan of Hansi's voice and how he delivered his vocals, but the more I listened to it, it just kind of grew on me, and I'm a big fan now. Like, I really, really like it, and he fucking kills it in this album, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I do think there may be some studio magic at times with Blind Guardian. Like when you hear old Hansi's voice, sometimes I do get the impression that they do layer him a little bit, but they also have backup vocals that are like completely in sync.
Yeah,
They complement each other really well. But yeah, I'm with you.
absolutely.
He does have sort of an idiosyncratic, sort of nasally delivery that is very unique to him.
Absolutely, 100%. And like I say, I wasn't a big fan of it, but it grew on me over time. The solos that Andre delivers on this, kind of touching back to the guitars, they give me Brian May from Queen vibes. You know what I mean? And like I believe he's gone on record saying that like Queen is very big inspiration for him, like musically. So that makes sense. The choruses and like all the pre-choruses, both lyrically and musically, again, are just catchy as a motherfucker. I can't tell you how many times I was, walking around the house or like doing shit at work, and I could just be like singing just the chorus over and over and over again in my head. You know what I mean? Like they're all like, it's just catchy as hell. This is a power metal album through and through, like tried and true. Don't get more power metal album than this. The only knock on it that I have is that this is kind of like all the little fluff tracks. I call them fluff tracks. But it's a concept album, so like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I get it. They're trying to tell a story. They're trying to deliver, like the quote unquote breakdown of the similarity by Tolkien. So I get it. They're not my favorite, but they're needed. So I get it. Favorite songs of mine would probably have to be Noldor or Into the Storm. Like those ones are just amazing. Obviously, you have Mirror Mirror and Nightfall.
I was gonna say, does this have Mirror Mirror? I mean, yeah, Mirror Mirror and Nightfall. My God, Kill Me Dead. Those are. I mean,
Yeah,
they should have Hollywood stars on the Power Metal Walk of Fame.
the songs itself should have Hollywood stars.
Yeah, like this is agree. You got your little you got your Joan Crawford and Meryl Streep stars, right in between them. It's just this is a power metal song that you need to listen to called Mirror Mirror by Blind Guardian.
Oh man, they deserve it though. It's really good, but. So yeah, if I had to give this album a rating out of all, it would be a 5 out of 5. This gets a perfectly tidied, just stuffed fanny pack, 5 out of 5. There's 5 of them, and they're all just perfectly, neatly stuffed to the brim, because this album crushes, dude. This is like, I don't really have, like I said, the only knock on it is the fluff tracks, and those are needed, and I get it, but I don't have anything bad to say about this album. The choruses are my favorite part. The choruses of almost all the songs are my favorite part because they're just so goddamn catchy. I can't get over it. Can't get enough of it. My wife is getting very annoyed with me because I've been listening to this album a shit ton around the house, and she's just like, "Ugh, this song again?" So, but yeah, that's all I got for the Frannie review section of the Frannie review verse. Thank you for coming.
We're happy to come because that's a fantastic record, and I think anyone that listens to it will understand. That was actually one of the albums that pulled me in to this whole heavy metal genre as an early album. I mean, I think that came out around 98, 99, something around there. But
98, yep.
In such a weird time for just heavy music in general, because you had nu metal, which was, in terms of commercial success, which, by the way, I'm not calling nu metal, but that's the nomenclature we use to talk about Korn and Limp Bizkit and Disturbed. That's what was popular. And little did I know that underneath all that commercialized crap was a band like Blind Guardian putting out an album like this. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal, man. It's just phenomenal.
Well, Franny, we unpacked a lot today. We talked about the allure of cover art and the mystique of it, and how if not careful, if you can't control your palette, if colors get a little too runny, you're gonna have a cover Shart. You're gonna have a number 7 on the Bristol Stool chart. And when you're shopping for heavy metal, I'm not gonna say that's gonna stop you from picking the album out. You probably will know a cover Shart is heavy metal. It just may not be so pleasing on the eyes. You might not enjoy watching a corpse get fucked by a Glenn Danzig fan while a statue looks on with a little Kevin McAllister baby boner. But the point is, it's heavy metal, because what other genre, right? I don't think
Absolutely.
a hip-hop album is going to have a corpse fucker. I don't think a hip-hop album is going to have a guy in a lavender cut of bikini undies looking at Dave Chappelle prepping for a blowjob, but heavy metal will do that. So that's what we're here to give you, is a rundown of cover art. We talked about sports. Franny gave us that piping hot review of Blind Guardian, one of our favorite bands. But looking ahead, we're got our heavy metal periscope out. We're scanning the horizon, and even though we're seeing Bewitcher as a war band coming down with some motorcycles, we're trying to ignore them because we know they're about 4 clicks away. So what else is on the horizon? Oh, and what do I spy with my heavy metal eye? I spy some black metal brain eaters coming at us in our next episode. So I want to make sure you know. I want to put you on alert. This may not necessarily be new stories to you, but we're going to give it the DOD twist that you come here for. So next episode, tune in to hear about the legendary Norwegian black metal scene and some of the degenerate, unholy, cannibalistic exploits they got up to in our Black Metal Brain Eaters episode. And in between then, Franny, I also want to just real quickly mention Cro-Mag Tribal Elder wrote into the show, and he recently lost a friend to suicide. So Cro-Mag, thank you for your vulnerability. And we at the Druids of Doom just want to normalize talking about mental health, especially knowing that, like, somewhere around 92% of our Droomies are men. And even though we want to have an inclusive environment with a lot of different identities in the mix, we know that men don't always talk about mental health. So before I kick it over to Franny's thoughts, just know we're always here for you. We want to normalize talking about mental health. We're there for you just as you are there for us. Shout out to Frozen Soul for saying the same thing when we saw them live.
Absolutely.
And yeah, Franny, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Again, KK, we love you very much. And if anybody just needs needs somebody to talk to, always reach out to us. We will do our best to respond. We both have full-time jobs, so it gets kind of hectic, but we will do our best to reach out to you either on our Instagram or our Gmail, Druids of Doom podcast at gmail.com. You can reach out to us there. Also, you can head over to our Instagram or our Gmail. Let us know how everything is going. How are you liking the show? What do you want us to cover next? If you go to over on the Instagram, you'll see all the fucked up cover art that we talked about today. If you're daring enough to take a peek at it, believe me, there are some real messed up things there. But other than that, make sure you stick around for the next episode of Druids of Doom.